Welcome back to our interactive segment, and if you have your phones and tablets, get them ready so you can send your tweets and Facebooks comments to us. Hey!
Yes, hello!
Surprise!
Surprise!
What's up with you?
I'm good, how are you?
Hey, Marianne is going on a long vacation.
She's gone on a long leave for the month of August.
Ooh.
And so I am here.
You'll be trending with us, man.
Yes.
So what's trending today?
What you were talking about on today's big story, this IMF bailout that we're
money in our pocket, no money in our pocket.
We want to know how it's affecting you sitting at home. So that's what we're going to be doing today.
Let's hear it.
All right. And so like I said, we will be discussing the IMF bailout and your opinion about it. Sydney Casey Hayford will briefly break down the IMF issues. He will join us later. My name is Ifwa Akwa Harrison. Let's get interactive.
Joy News Interactive is brought to you in association with
Surfline. It's about time.
Join us on facebook.com/Joy News on TV. We are on Twitter under the same handle, Joy News on Twitter. And on WhatsApp, our WhatsApp number remains 054-010-9009. And of course, send us an email to joynewsim@multitvworld.com. And JN Interactive is proudly supported by Surfline. Surfline, it's about time. Now, news that Ghana is seeking help from the International Monetary Fund over the weekend made local and world headlines. While some headlines stated that it was a good move, others were skeptical. So let's have a look at some of the headlines. Bailout option takes Ghana to economic ground zero. This is an article by Star FM Online, actually, which quotes Afro-China academic Dr. Lloyd Amwa. He believes going for the IMF assistance equals erasing the achievements of past government. They quoted his Facebook page and therefore did not elaborate on any solution. Next headline. XFM News Center says, according to Dr. Anthony Akotose, minority spokesperson on finance, the ordinary Ghanaian should brace for tougher times. Utility tariffs will go up and government will be asked to cut down on excessive expenditure. And the former finance the Deputy Communications Minister in charge of information, Felix Kwakye-Ofosu, aims to calm nerves. He says the country is not in crisis. The IMF bailout does not mean we are in crisis. There are 5 indicators of a nation in crisis. We have not defaulted on our loans. We do not have hyperinflation. We have a manageable debt to GDP ratio. So we are not in crisis. And former Minister of Finance, Yao Safo-Mafo, however, also believes the bailout is the country's only short-term option, especially as a solution to controlling government expenditure. So last time Ghana went to the IMF was in 2009, and that was for a $600 billion 3-year aid package. Now, does the ordinary Ghanaian know what IMF is? We spoke to a number of people, and I'm told only 2 actually knew something about the IMF. Let's have a look.
The IMF, I know, is an international body that grants loans to countries that's having financial problems. Ghana is noted for always knocking on the doors of IMF all the time, but to me, if that will be able to solve our economic plight, I think I find no problem with it. The only problem I have is we being able to monetize and utilize this money in order for the normal Ghanaian person to feel that, okay, we've borrowed money and this money is being used. energy sector, as I said earlier, should be concentrated upon. The financial service also should be concentrated upon. But as to whether we can utilize this money correctly and efficiently, and also as to whether we can really pay back the loans and even the interest on the loans. I just hope the government doesn't use these monies for unnecessary things that we Ghanaians deem unnecessary.
I think it's the International Monetary Fund. I know they loan out monies to countries, and then as when they give you the monies, you tell them what you want to use the money for, and then you use the money for that purpose. But there are clauses also attached to their monies, so the countries go for loans from them and they use it for their various projects. Well, recently I heard Ghana was going for a loan from the IMF. Well, what it will be used for, well, I'm a little bit ignorant, but I hope it will be used for something better, and the conditions won't be too difficult for us to adhere to.
The ordinary Ghanaian telling us what they know about the IMF. Well, that's not the only question we asked them. On our second video blog, we are asking about the current state of affairs.
We are not the first country actually experiencing this. It's quite bad. It's quite awful looking at certain sectors of the economy that are not going well. That needs to be addressed. First, fighting corruption, which is the key important stuff that we need to address. In spite of we going for loan from IMF, I think the most important thing right now is to fight corruption, correct the little loopholes in certain sectors in finance, in energy. When we are able to correct those loopholes, I think the economy will be able to bounce back.
The system is very, very hard, because when you look at even transport, conveying yourself from one place to the other, it's something else. They keep increasing it. Meanwhile, salaries are still the same, and I think it's very bad. The government has to do something about that.
As we all know, it's difficult. You know, honestly, everyday prices are going up. You know, it never comes down. I don't know why. Prices are always going up, and it's getting worse and worse by the day. Well, hopefully it will get better.
Economy there, in fact, yeah, bread. You see, our best to fool, my dear higher cranny at rubber for. Yeah, bread, papa, because our two fool and grandson, you see, our two fool anymore. On Zan to fair anymore, my.
Ghanaians have spoken. The economy is not sitting pretty, and this is why Ghana has decided to go for the IMF bailout. Well, I said earlier that we will be joined by financial analyst Sydney Casely-Hayford, and he's on the line now to discuss the IMF bailout. Good evening, sir. I'm great. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Thank you for joining us on GN Interactive.
You're welcome.
Now, Ghana has run to the IMF a number of times, and now many liken running to the IMF to befriending the devil. How right or how wrong are they?
The IMF or Ghana?
Ghanaians.
Look, we don't have any more options left. The economy has deteriorated to the extent that the only way that we can get some relief, and you bear in mind that whatever we are going to get from the IMF in terms of cash or technical support or other programs is not going to be able to restore us to a position where the hardship and the aggravation will disappear. So at this point in time, the option is to go for support from the IMF in order to be able to meet the expenditure budget, to meet the commitments the government has in terms of its statutory obligations. So this is the only last option we have that we can explore.
So no choice.
We have no choice in the short term. We have choices in the medium to long term. But at this moment, you cannot keep the economy running the way it is for the next year without any major injection of cash into the fiscal position. So the medium to long term strategies start now. benefits for 3 or 4 years down the line. If we don't do that at the same time as we are requesting support from the IMF, the same point again 4 years from now, it will not go away. So there has to be a major rethink of the way we are managing the economy and the way we are generating revenues and what we are spending.
So what options does the country have really as it prepares to go into a discussion with the IMF?
Well, the government forward the items which it calls homegrown solutions. Now, these solutions are really not in the true sense of homegrown, but what they are were pragmatic solutions in order to be able to restore some kind of structural imbalances that we have. For example, government needs to cut significantly its expenditure habits. They need to take a very strong look at the payroll costs. They need to take a very strong look at public sector civil servant structure. They also need to look very, very hard at the revenues and the way we are bringing in income into the economy from various points. We've been saying for a long time that government needs to look at the informal sector and see how it can tap into the cash that hovers within the informal sector and bring that into the formal economy so that they can actually get significant revenues. And this option is very, very viable. If they can do it, it will take them about 8 to 24 months to get that system working very well, which is why I'm saying that anything that is supposed to be done in the medium long term must start today. Now, there are opportunities for bringing that kind of revenues into the system. That's number one. So if, say, you're able to bring in about 2 billion cedi into the revenue line, in other words, if you can get taxes, which will generate about 2 billion cedi, and then you can trim your expenditures by another 4 billion, which can be done between the education and the health sector systemization, you will immediately see about 6 billion to 7 billion cedi, which government can then have in order to be able to provide capital and infrastructure development programs. So there are options, but they are no longer immediate or third. They would have been useful if we had done them 2 years ago, or if we had started them 2 years ago. But at this stage, if we start them now, it is going to take another 2 to 3 years before they actually start showing some benefit. So I'm afraid options have run out, and we need to get the cash. But if we just take the cash and we sit down, and we don't start to place the necessary interventions that are required, we will not fix this problem immediately.
Sorry, I didn't catch the last line.
I said that if we do not do both, we have to start now and then start putting the programs in place for future development in the medium term, we will be in position again 4 years from now. And we have to do both at the same time. This is not a one-pronged approach. We have to have a multi-pronged approach in order to be able to make it work.
Okay. So should the ordinary Ghanaian be happy?
I think the ordinary Ghanaian should be slightly relieved, not happy. We haven't reached happiness stage yet. It's not because there will be two things. One, there will be cash coming into the system. Two, there will be some confidence restored in the international market because I agree that we still have.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Sidney Casely Hayford, financial analyst. He's been shedding some IMF bailout issue. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll read your views on the issue. Welcome back. You're still watching JN Interactive with me, Ifwa Akwa Harrison. Now, before the break, we spoke to financial analyst Sidney Casely Hayford. But it's for your comments, and we've been asking on Facebook what you actually know about the International Monetary Fund and how you think going for the bailout would affect Ghana's economic chances. Now, Delgado Pedro says the International Monetary Fund is an organization of 188 countries working to foster global monetary cooperation, secure financial stability, facilitate international trade, promote high employment and sustainable economic growth, and reduce poverty around the world. Thank you for that info. And Wisdom Amuzu says we need that money to boost our economy. Nuopo Billy says IMF bailout is not bad, but our leaders must be fiscally disciplined so as to make good use of it. However, if the bailout will bring further hardship, then they should not try it at all. In fact, we are really suffering. Solomon Nyantechi says it means we need to move away from MPP, NDC, and try CPP because they don't represent hope. Gracious Kudiabo says there are conditions, but as to how the country Ghana's recommendations will change the fortunes of this ailing country Ghana, I read it, but I don't really get it. James Kwashi says, the government is playing cha-cha with the Ghanaian economy, keke. Some interesting comments here. Samuel Sapon believes hard conditions are coming, and Ali Sabato says, we need that money to quickly boost our economy. Kaba Nelson says it's a monetary fund which was established in 1944, okay, with 188 member countries, okay, thank you. And Nana Kwame Poku says there will surely be attachments, but let's hope we can get an upliftment in our economy through this. Patrick Redu says, number one, there will be a conditional clause that favors the IMF, and that's why many countries use it as a last alternative. The money will not be put to prudent use as demonstrated by the government time and time again. Number three, the country's debt will keep climbing up, dumping investors' confidence in the country. And number four, the currency will devalue. So these are Patrick Redu's comments on why the IMF bailout might not benefit Ghana. Though I am aware that the IMF loans are softer than other loans out there. And then Dorsey Hunter Smith says, it's a move though, but as in how to manage it, I doubt this current government, because this is not the first time Ghana is going for this. And as the word goes, bailout is what will make this economy stable. So those are your comments coming in through Facebook. I have one more video blog for you. Let's see what it is.
He's on a right course, but it's on a slow pace. I think he's addressing corruption a little bit. The only thing I don't like is his approach to it. In terms of energy, how he's solving that, I don't think it's quite encouraging. I don't think it's encouraging. I think he can do more when he really gets the right people to help him to work with. And he should be, I think it's high time he gets really strict.
On the bright side, maybe the IMF bailout will help this current government bag so much money to fulfill all its promises. So let's do a simple techie exercise. Let's Google the search word President Mahama promises. I'm just going to do that right now. Okay, so this is straight from Google. Government to establish oil services port, President Mahama. And President Mahama promises theater for Kumasi. President Mahama promises ultra-modern market for Kumasi. President Mahama promises food security. President Mahama promises to execute mandate. President Mahama says government will fulfill campaign promises. President Mahama promises poultry farmers support. President Mahama promises dedicated leadership. President Mahama promises sustainable funding for climate change. And President John Mahama new promises to the nation. That promise was that he would create some new jobs in 2014. And so maybe going for this IMF bailout will help the government fulfill all these promises. But let's see what you guys said on Facebook, because we asked on Facebook whether you can list 3 achievements and 3 promises of President Mahama. Technical difficulties, the internet is a little slow, but let's see if that will quickly come up and I can just read a little bit of your comments. As I try and work out the internet issue, let's take a break and we'll come back with your comments. So I have a few of your comments here. Franklin Owusuenim says, #JM@confusion.com. And Tete Nokobi says, Suba Jida Sada. And that's answering the question of whether you can list 3 achievements and 3 promises of President Mahama. Well, that's it. Steve is back.
Yeah, I'm back.
A half hour goes so quickly.
I know, and people can talk, eh? Yeah. You're lucky some people can say painful things. But hey, I mean, that's the freedom of expression we have. We have to say it as it is. And so that's what we'll wrap up on.
That's where we wrap up.
Interactive segment and today's big story. Isolai will be here at 8 o'clock with the news. And up next is Joy News Exclusive. My name is Stephen Enti.
And my name is Ifwa Akwa Harrison. Have a good night.
Thanks for hanging out with us. Good evening.
Joy News Interactive was brought to you in association with
Surfline, it's about time.